Hello, welcome to Talking Pictures, a podcast where we love to talk about movies, TV, and a whole load of other good stuff we love to talk about. My name is Brian and I will be your host for today. I'm joined by my friend and co-host David. David, how are you?
I am feeling fabulous, Brian. What are we talking about today? We teased the listeners last week. We were going to do either Barbie or Oppenheimer, but what did we decide on?
We decided on Barbie, my good friend. Barbie.
Yes.
Yeah, I thought maybe it would have been better served if we, saw the lighthearted one instead of seeing it after watching the dread of Oppenheimer.
Mm-hmm.
Given, the couple of factual realities it takes place within. So why not go fantasy rather than in our viewing tonight? Because we we just saw it.
Yeah, you said it last week when you were like, you think you would see Barbie before Oppenheimer. I think I was the other way around. And even though we haven't seen Oppenheimer yet, I think that maybe this was the right decision to do this like nice, lighthearted thing without the weight of the world on our shoulders after seeing Oppenheimer. So I think you were right.
Honestly, for me, I see it as I want to watch the better movie for last. Now, when I say better, I mean it's Christopher Nolan. Christopher Nolan gets his time slotted for his movie's release, whatever year he releases it. And Barbie, the phenomenon that it is, the icon that it is, it could have been a movie that turned out pretty bad. We'll get into that and why it doesn't go bad. But the fact that it's Christopher Nolan, I kind of wanted to reserve that for second instead of Barbie being second. Especially if we saw it on the same day.
Yeah, we didn't do the Barbenheimer. Although we we thought about it, we decided no, that's a little bit too much. Let's give these both big movies time to breathe and give them a bit of time away from each other so that we can look at them and judge them on their own merits as opposed to, kind of comparing the two more so.
Well, you know what, David? I think that is a good reason because this movie's deep. This movie deals with a lot of real life issues, both in my and your world. I mean, the patriarchy, it needs to come back. We need to be our Kens again. These Barbies, feminism. We can't. I'm joking, by the way. Yeah. Full spoilers for Barbie.
Full spoilers.
Why are you listening to us and not watching Barbie? Go watch it first, then you can hear our little chat about it. David, this movie really highlights a lot of issues, both socially serious, but also amongst the culture of for now us Westerners. Some can be it could be humorous social commentary, but others serious as well. Sexual objectification is a quite serious one, but then we sort of paint a bit of a joke on how men are jerks and the men are dicks, and that can be true even if they don't mean it. But I think this movie did a great job highlighting and identifying the issues at hand while giving you a bit of a laugh.
Definitely. Yeah, like you're saying there's a lot. This isn't just a movie about the plastic doll Barbie that we all know. It's kind of like, in a way, maybe comparing it to the Lego movie might be kind of apt in that you think that you're sitting down to watch one movie and it's like, oh no, I actually watched something that was really heartfelt, and you can kind of connect with it in a lot of different ways, whether it's, with the toxic masculinity that it kind of observes, or how do you approach this world that's so anti-women, or like even how do you find your own place in the world, that's kind of the journey that Barbie goes on. Like, how does she come to grips with who she is, and then as well as Ken, that's their kind of journey as well. It's like navigating their way through both Barbie land and the real world, and maybe that's something that we all do as well. Like, how do we navigate this world when you kind of do want things to go back to the way that you knew them and how they were. Like, how many of us haven't like thought about like, oh, I wish I could go back to when I was in school, or I wish I was go back to this age and I'd just live it like that, like I had no worries, no cares. But like, that's not how the world works, and that's, I think, the main point that Barbie is one of the main points. I mean, there's so many that they're going through. It's hard not to. It's hard to say that, oh yeah, there's one clear message when it's doing a lot. It's really putting in the work. This Barbie movie.
Yeah, the idea of change, and Barbie afraid of that, because waking up everything is the same, and it's the crossing of the threshold, and the 12 chapters of storytelling, where she's now thinking about death in the middle of their routine dancing. And she's like, oh, well, society in Barbie Land says I'm not supposed to think about that, so she swears it off. And yeah, I'm definitely not thinking about that, which is just one of the many real world ideas that you do think about.
Absolutely, man.
Change being one of them. And another thing that society tells you is that she has to be with Ken, or Ken has to be with Barbie. It's what society has you believe, and that is just one of a deep issue this movie goes through. We'll get into the rest of them later. But yeah, this movie pulls it off quite well. We have to have remembered that this is coming from Greta Gerwig, the woman who directed Lady Bird and Little Women, starring both Saoirse Ronan and Timothée Chalamet. I mean, this movie, this was in the hands of a great Oscar caliber director. And now she's a moneymaker. She can go choose whatever she wants now. I don't know why she's decided to do Narnia for Netflix, but okay. We'll not discuss about that. I'll just say Margot Robbie. I think she was so good in this. Everyone was talking about Ryan Gosling as Ken. I actually think maybe Margot Robbie did a better job. Maybe she just had the advantage of being the lead actress in this, and Ken would be the supporting actor. But my gosh, the fact that she's able to whip up the tears while keeping a straight face, and then she just come across as so likable and just dead drop gorgeous. I mean, wow. I thought cinema goers who were sitting next to us, distracting us aside, this movie really grabbed my attention, and I wouldn't have been able to deal with it going into Oppenheimer, and I wouldn't have been able to go to bed thinking about it after having watched Oppenheimer. So I'm really glad I didn't do Oppenheimer myself personally.
I think you're right. Margot Robbie was like a fantastic choice, and I think that the movie kind of opens really well with the whole ode to 2001 was quite funny, and then like straight away from the jump it's like, okay, this is Barbie, and this is Barbie, and this is Barbie, and they show you like every woman in Barbie Land is Barbie, and there's no definitive, oh no, this is like the main Barbie, but they just like, every Barbie has like a label, like, oh, this is news anchor Barbie, this is President Barbie, and then Margot Robbie's Barbie this is stereotypical Barbie, this is, oh, when you think of Barbie, I'm probably what you think about first, as opposed to that she's like the original or something like that. Like, and I think it was really clever way of explaining like, why is this the main Barbie, and she does look like what everyone thinks is Barbie, and that fits her so well that she's stereotypical. But then that, I think, really it's like not just her looks, she's stereotypical, like you were saying there, that she's she's perfect and she's living her perfect life and every day is a perfect day, and so when it gets to the point where she's having the dance party, like you're saying, and then having a great time, and then she's all of a sudden like depressed, and does anyone ever think about dying? It's like, oh, that's not stereotypical Barbie, something's happening here, something's changing, and that like her personality and her way of thinking changes, as well as her looks, and the kind of crux of where her journey starts is like, oh, her feet fall flat, and I just thought it was like,
it goes beyond her looks. It's the story about her character. It's what pushes the plot of the movie, and then Ken tags along. This movie,
and it extends beyond her as well, that it's the state of mind for her, and for a lot of the other Barbies and Ken and the other Kens, it's all about a kind of state of mind and how you're feeling and how you're picturing yourself as opposed to what you think you're supposed to be.
Yeah, all pretty much originated from the world you, and our listeners live in right now.
Mm.
Like that's the get go. But this movie is obviously set in a world where the people like you and me and anywhere else know, oh yeah, Barbie. There's a Barbie land. Live over there. It's like they try to explain it as simply as possible. Think of it like it's a town in Sweden, or it's just like, and they just don't leave. You know, why they don't leave, I don't know. How they're able to get by without actually eating or drinking. How they don't have genitalia, I don't know. How they can just be themselves, I don't know. But that's not what's important. We don't care about that actually.
No.
What we do care about is a good story, and Jesus, I'm gonna keep saying it. We did get it. What does it mean to be Barbie, and then what does it mean to be you? Pretty much is the theme of the movie, both as a man and as a woman. And I thought almost every character had a great role. I'd like to give a good highlight to Will Ferrell, Kate McKinnon, America Ferrera, who played the mom, who was the kid who played with Margot Robbie's Barbie. I thought they were standouts. I thought Simu Liu was a great foe to arch enemy of Ryan Gosling's Ken. And I thought also the movie was extremely, I'll repeat that again, extremely well paced. You start off in Barbie Land entirely up until the point where something's wrong and she has to go, and the plot of the movie's thickens, and we're in the real world and we completely follow Barbie and Ken and what they're discovering, and they find what their story plot points are. And then Barbie goes to meet Will Ferrell, and Ken goes back to Barbie Land to change it to the patriarchy, rah rah up the yeah. And I thought when Barbie goes back with the mom and the kid, pursued by Will Ferrell, to find themselves with Barbie Land having been pretty much overtaken by Ken patriarchy, Kendom Land, I thought, we stay there for the rest of the movie, and I thought it was just really well paced. It just keeps going, and I think I would break this movie up into like 4 chapters. The opening in Barbie Land, the entire sequence in real world, going back to Barbie Land, discovering the Ken patriarchy, and then the 4th piece being their plan to take back to take back Barbie Land for the Barbies. And I thought, Jesus, it not that it flew, it was just a greatly paced movie, and I enjoyed every second of it. Wow, I'm running out of breath. I'm not breathing while I'm speaking. But yeah, really, really good, and a whole lot of good jokes that really got me as well.
Yeah, I think that the like you're saying there, kind of divided into 4. I think you're dead right, and it's kind of really refreshing, because when it first started, when Barbie and Ken traveled to the real world, I got a real sense of Elf. Do you know, where he moves from the North Pole and it goes to New York, and then he's in New York the rest of the movie. I thought that that's what we would get. So to actually go back to Barbie Land, I was like, oh, okay, you wouldn't expect this. I would have expected to just stay in the real world, and it's just Barbie in the real world for the rest of the movie. But the actual setting up of the world, I just think was fantastic. Like from the get-go, when Barbie wakes up, and she wakes up in her dream house, and she's going, and her clothes just magically get put on her, and she goes to take a shower, and there's no water, and it's like purely like, oh, this world is run on your imagination, and it just knows exactly what it is. And so because it knows, oh yeah, no, this is all like made up, this is all make believe, it could have done whatever, and I fully would have been like, yeah, no, that makes sense, that's someone's imagination, that's a kid playing with Barbies. And they were dead right with no one ever bothers to take their Barbie and walk them down the stairs, they all magically float off. And I'm like, yeah, that's no kid who's ever played with any action figure or doll has like, oh, now I'm going to walk down this exact route here, make it all make sense. Like they just jump across the room, and it all makes sense. And even the when they're all having breakfast, they all live together. When they go down to the beach and Ken broke his leg and they're just in the hospital now, and kind of the truck opens up to become like a new set. I just thought that the whole Barbie world was really great and really set itself up really well, that I was glad that we got to go back. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, well, when you commit to building a set like that, you really do save a lot of money by pretty much setting the whole movie there. And that is that element of the Lego movie. That is now 2 Will Ferrell movies that we've mentioned. Will Ferrell is quite the guy for Fish Out of Water movies. Was he in Wonder Woman, I wonder? Anyway, because the element of the Barbies and Kens live in the world imagined and fantasized by little girls playing with their dolls, and that's what they are themselves. The humanoid actors, the characters are. That's what they are. And I didn't actually fully get that until Kate McKinnon's weird Barbie explained this kid who's playing with you in the real world, like as in you are her Barbie doll. Oh, okay, now I get it. They're fully aware of what they are. Because even earlier they mentioned you're malfunctioning because your feet are now flat. Like the fact that they said malfunctioning, all right, that word is just key enough to really self-explain the world they live in and their own living concept of what they are, their self-awareness. And the fact that, yes, I am the source of the toy you play. It's like instead of the toys in Toy Story becoming alive when the children are not there, it's more like that the toys are toys, and we see Woody and Buzz and all the other gang in a different location as people. That's what it is, essentially. And I thought that overall, because let me explain to you, and then I'll end it with this point, because I think the point I'm trying to make really highlights what this movie really is in terms of explaining it in the pitch. So when we get to the real world, Will Ferrell is the CEO of Mattel, which is also the real life company that makes Barbie. He knows about Barbies and Kens being actually real people from a different land, because they've had an incident before with some other toy leaving to come to the real world, and they discontinued some of their products and even mentioned that. And the narrator really did a good job to help you identify where you can place this story, this world, this idea of Barbie in compared to our world. Like, we know where the world of the Lego movie is set to us. We know where the Avengers movies are set to us in our world, just with superheroes. So, like, where does this Barbie world come? Like, how does this fit in our reality? Or because it's easier to watch a sci-fi movie like Star Wars and know that it has nothing to do with us because it's in a completely different galaxy far away, long ago. So I thought they did a really solid job identifying to the audience what this movie is and how and where it is set in terms of its characters and the locations. Now, of course, like I said earlier, they didn't explain how did they get by with no food and they don't dick and balls and vaginas, and well, they acknowledge that with fun jokes, and that's all you need. I bet there's so many more points I can make, but
like they did a really good job of having.
No.
Sorry.
The point I'm trying to make, David, is this is a live action animated movie. Think about Across the Spider-Verse, Into the Spider-Verse, the Lego movie, possibly TMNT coming up. A lot of animated movies are quite becoming more family orientated to appeal to adults as opposed to just being for the kids. I can think of kids watching this movie and being bored by it, and adults and young children getting a kick out of it. So, yeah, this movie, This is good.
I just kind of what you were saying there about like how they created the world and your kind of frame of reference. I did like the fact that they showed that they are connected in more ways than just, oh yeah, we're the Barbies that you play with, we're the source for that, because they influenced each other. The fact that because America Ferrero, when she was like drawing the pictures for her Barbie, and that was affecting Margot Robbie, but then when Ken, obviously, when he turns it into Kenland and he changes Barbie's dream house to what's he call it, his Mojo Dojo Casa house, that affects the toys that they're making at Mattel. Do you know, it's like they're like, oh, we don't want to know what happens. It's not something even our imaginations all combined could ever think of. And it's like it just like shows that they affect each other, and they're both, as even though one is about your dolls that you're playing with, it's as much a real place as the real world is, and they have the effects on each other. I just thought it was, like you're saying there, it's the best version of a movie about a doll that we could have gotten, you know?
Yeah.
So it's
I think, yeah. Sorry, I interrupted you.
No, it's like,
No.
If you had said, like, if you had said to someone, you know, 20 years ago, oh, they're making a live action Barbie movie, you'd be like, okay, and what is that? Like, how would you even, like, even a year ago, if we had said, like, when we were like looking, oh, there's a Barbie movie coming out, like, what is the plot of that? And I genuinely, up until a couple hours ago when we saw it, I did not know the plot other than Barbie goes to the real world, like Barbie's
Ditto.
real. So
Yeah, same.
it goes to show, like you're saying there, I don't see this being a movie that's made for kids. It's not like a movie for little kids that play with Barbies. It is kind of nearly made for a kind of a generation of 20 to 30-year-olds who don't quite know what they're doing in their life. And it's also a movie for women and for girls that are sick of the societal standards that they're held to, and they just kind of want to release, and they want to be acknowledged, like, oh, it's not just me that has to go through this, it's every single woman. And just kind of that sense of community. I think it did a great job of that. It was fantastic for doing that. Because it could have just very easily been Barbie goes to the real world, and it could have been a fish out of water like Elf.
Yeah.
Where it's, oh, Barbie doesn't know this, Barbie doesn't know that, haha. But it was a
Yeah,
journey
they had a
of
lot. They had a lot of
self-exploration.
fun with that. Like the little jokes where all the men are like looking at Barbie, like they would look at a women objectifying her. Like that, even her choice of wording to describe it, I actually don't feel well. Like I don't feel. I feel like they're looking at me like I forget what she said exactly, but it's like it was like uncanny to her. Like this is not a thing that happens in her world, and she's like describing it in a, almost like an alien. In our world who's not used to this, so their choice of words is not as, let's say, normally described.
I think she says, like, I'm very conscious about what's going on around me, and specifically about myself. I'm quite conscious about myself. And you're like, oh, you're self-conscious, do you know? Or when she's describing about being anxious, and then like the mom comes up and is like, that's called anxiety. Yeah, we all have it. Like it's a normal thing, don't worry about it.
Yeah, even in to top up to that, with the Ken, Ryan Gosling saying, I feel like I'm being admired. Like, if it's almost like he feels good about it, because like he likes women, and yeah, sure, men looking at him saying, yeah, this makes me feel good, because you know me. Let's be honest, as men, we can get that. That happens to me, and that can happen to you, and that it's just, it's different. It's different when women are. That are being viewed or perceived or spoken to. Like,
Absolutely.
I think it's easy for us as men to brush it off, unlike than it is for women. That's just an overall theme of the movie. Like, watching the movie, this movie identifies what it is. I'm not a woman, so I can't say I know how you feel, but we can understand how we're being educated here, David.
Absolutely. I think you're right, because it goes
and
to show, like,
and we're a good supporter Ken. We're good supporting Kens.
supportive Kens to our Barbies. Absolutely. I think you're dead right. Like when they come into the real world, and like immediately, like, Barbie is being sexualized. you know, and the construction workers are all saying the amount, like, you know, give me a piece of that. They're just saying like every stereotypical
Yeah.
pickup line you've ever heard. They get taken to the police station. They get taken to the police station twice, and like I think one of the cops says, like, because she's wearing a different outfit, she's like, oh my god, she's even hotter with more clothes on. It's like, because you can, I can imagine what's underneath, and you're like, this is sick stuff. But that's like the first interaction that she has with men. But when you take the flip side of that, and Ken is walking around, and what are the first things that people say to him? Oh, excuse me, sir, do you have the time? I was like, oh, excuse me, sir. And like he's being like, addressed in a polite way, but like by sir and dude and bro and all this stuff. And it's like he's really empowered by it. He's like, oh wow, I quite like this. And that just goes to show you, like, two random people that both, like, let's face it, both Margot Robbie and Ryan Gosling are conventionally very attractive people. In both, you know, both men and in both the male gaze and the female gaze, they're both attractive people. Can we agree on that?
Yeah, even Helen Mirren, as the narrator, acknowledges that that Margot Robbie is too hot for her to be considered ugly.
Yeah, but they're both treated in extremely different ways. Even though they're both equally attractive, they are treated completely differently. And then that just kind of fuels Ken's journey into the, you know, oh, I'm in a world where men have the power, and I could bring this back to Barbie Land, and his whole journey through the patriarchy.
That whole ideology of men having the power, and now the women are in like service roles in Barbie Land. Like, maybe the real world, that is how, because the way our culture is right now with the patriarchy and how feminism is where it is. Another thing acknowledged in this movie is that, do you think maybe because the way the way our world is the same as the real world in Barbie, and when Ken is exposed to that, he's able to bring that back. And yeah, sure, the Kens are able to, you know, get on board with it, but the Barbies are as well. Why are they in the service roles? Why are they pretty much forgetting who they are as more than just a Barbie? More like, how are they able to forget that they're president, that they're a writer, that they're a scientist, and so on and so forth? That's a reflection on how millions of years of men and women, masculinity and feminism, like, it's just where it's just set itself currently, and it's slowly changing, where women's rights are climbing up the ladder. They're not there yet. When I say women's rights, that's not the best description. I mean feminism and the work they're trying to do to get equal rights, equal pay.
Just equality in general.
Yeah. So pretty much what you said earlier as well. It's the flip side in Barbie Land, where the women are pretty much in control and the Kens are support of Kens. And at the end of the movie, the narrator says, "Don't worry, the Kens can eventually end up being just as equal as the women are in the real world."
And so, everyone laughed at that, because you're like, everyone knows, like, oh no, men do run the world in our real world. It's like, that's the joke, because we all know, oh, that means nothing.
Yes.
You know,
David, I think it's time for a break to do some flashbacks. You want to do some flashbacks?
I would love to do some flashbacks.
Barbie Laura, cue the music.
Thanks, Barbie.
David, I've got some flashbacks.
I would love to hear a flashback.
I'll go first. So, let's do a flashback about a casting. So, as me and you and anyone else who saw this movie, John Cena has like 2 shots as Ken Maid, or Ken Mermaid, as a mermaid with an obviously fake wig. And
that was fake?
Yeah, man. And positioned behind like an ocean wave billboard type thing.
Yeah.
Like that's another thing as well. I liked all the sets with the transitioning, like the journey from Barbie world to real world, and in reverse is like it's obviously not only just on green screen, but it's like moving billboards in the foreground and the background, and as obviously fake as it is, we're not complaining about the lack of high quality because it's accepting as it is. How cheap was that? How cheap was that for on our budget compared to other movies?
But like, while you say cheap, it didn't look cheap. Like,
No,
it's
it
obviously
didn't.
cheaper than being behind a full CGI wave and CGI war.
Yes.
But to see, like, you know, a wooden painted, a really well wooden painted, like the set design was fabulous, and that whole journey, and I like that we got that whole, you know, like, going in the car, and then the boat, and then the snowmobile and the rocket ship. Like, we saw that multiple times back and forth. Like, they were like, oh no, if we're going to spend the money on it, let's see it a couple of times, like you were saying there about the whole Barbie land. Like,
Yes.
that's because we know what the world is, and this is the world where all the houses don't have walls. You know, everyone can see into each other's houses. It's fully acceptable that John Cena would pop up behind a wooden wave, and you're like,
Yes.
oh yeah, that makes sense.
Well, David, John Cena, back to the Flash fact, was filming Fast X in the studio across from Margaret Robbie. And so they met at a restaurant in town. I think they were shooting in London, as I believe it. And because they knew each other from James Gunn's Suicide Squad, they told each other what they were working on. And Margaret Robbie says, yeah, you want to be in it? And he's like, sure. And he paid for our lunch, and he stepped onto set probably the next day for one day. And well, now he gets to jump on that bandwagon. Literally, look at the movie. He's in 2 shots. He's not at the start of the movie, but he's in towards at the end. So
He only appears after Ken comes back, and he's kind of like, it was all mermaid Barbies, and then Ken Maid came up. Like, he was like almost a figment of Ken's imagination that he made.
I hope that's what it is. I don't think that's what they acknowledged it to be, but I hope it is. But I thought it was nice, a nice trivia for casting.
It's funny how that kind of happens nowadays, where because there's so many movies obviously shooting on the same set, or like, you know, across the road from each other, like that you'll have just like, oh yeah, do you mind just like popping into this? Do me a favor and just pop into this. Like, I think we had it there with Bullet Train last year, with Channing Tatum popped up in Bullet Train because he was working on The Lost City with Sandra Bullock.
And Brad Pitt.
And then Brad Pitt turned up in The Lost City as well for kind of a cameo role. Like, it's just like actors doing favors of like, hey, I'm shooting this. You mind popping your head in? I'm like, yeah, sure. Everyone's doing each other favors. I've got a flashback, if you'd like to hear it.
Yeah, give us some flashbacks.
So originally the film was announced in 2009, and the project has undergone multiple different iterations, and the property was actually held by 3 different studios. Both Amy Schumer and Anne Hathaway were both attached before Margot Robbie stepped into Barbie's heels.
I could see Anne Hathaway being a Barbie. I can see Amy Schumer being an unconventional, non-traditional Barbie. So dealing with the same issues where Amy Schumer is not the perfect Barbie, and she probably sets out to be the perfect Barbie. I'm not a huge Amy Schumer fan, and I thought that would have come across annoying. And let's be honest, Margot Robbie has bigger star power.
Definitely. I could have seen Amy Schumer, honestly, in the Kate McKinnon role of Weird Barbie.
Yes.
That would have probably been...
I enjoy seeing Kate McKinnon more.
Yeah, I agree. I like Kate McKinnon, and I think you're right that Amy Schumer, that would have been a completely different movie where it is like an annoying... Like, I don't want to say... Like annoying... Yeah, I would have... I'm not... Yeah, I'm not a fan of Amy Schumer, to be honest. Like, I don't find her very funny, and I don't think that if she was the main Barbie, if she was Margot Robbie's Barbie, I would have gone to see it. Honestly.
Yeah, Margot Robbie, like, she's one of 2 reasons to see this movie. Ryan Gosling being the second.
Yeah.
I got another flashback, David. We mentioned earlier about the sets in Barbie Land. So, you saw the set for yourself, and folks watching this movie, it was a big enough set when you got to the wide shot. It wasn't just that like road art where Barbie lives and where they revisit like multiple times. Didn't the good thing they didn't have to move far, saved them a lot of time. But the pink was it was a pink hue used on the set. It was made by Roscoe, and well, there was a little story that there was a shortage of this pink paint, and yeah. I see David is holding pink-handled scissors, and he's just waving them at me. That's better pink than what you wear at the cinema, David.
I know, I didn't have my pink in the cinema. I was ashamed.
But to the point of the paint, surprise, surprise. Well, no, sorry, scratch that. Reverse it. There wasn't the Barbie movie that earned its right to say, we our movie cost the pink paint industry a shortage. There was another shortage of the paint being produced by the Roscoe's company, and what the actual main story is that the company gave the movie what they had left, and therefore they had none left over while they were still in the process of trying to produce more of the pink paint. So it's more like they used the last of what they had, as opposed to they took it all and they had none left,
Yeah, there was just no backups because they had.
Yes. So it's funny how stories just love to run wild with these articles just to get clicks.
It's the headline.
Headlines. Yeah, 100%. But I
Barbie
thought it was
causes paint
interesting.
shortage.
Yeah. It was nice. It was pretty. I thought the whole set was pretty and it was lovely. Yeah, even their costumes were great as well. And the hair, I thought the hair for a lot of time really stood out. I loved Margot Robbie's hair in this. And Ryan Gosling is a pure bleached blonde. Yeah, it was good.
I think genuinely, people are kind of talking like very early days of Oscars and supporting actors and actresses and all this stuff. But costume and set design, I could definitely see this nominated. I could see this winning, definitely. Everything was fantastic.
Don't go there yet, David. Dune 2 still might come out this year.
Ooh, yeah, that's true. Well, we'll see. But I could definitely see it being a contender.
Yeah.
I have another flash fact if you'd like to hear it.
Yeah, sure.
So in 2023, the Barbie brand, the brand as a whole, was valued at approximately $700 million.
Okay.
This movie, over its opening weekend, grossed $337 million. So in one weekend, this movie has grossed half of what the Barbie brand is worth. That is absolutely huge. And I think that goes to show you, when you have a good director and a great story and great actors and putting all the money on screen, it rewards you. It rewards you tenfold. That's the budget for this film was 135 million, and then in one weekend it makes 337 million. It paid for itself and the marketing budget, and that's the opening weekend. It released on Friday. It's Monday. We're recording this. That's insane.
That's a good line producer right there.
Yeah. No, it's and I'm happy for it. If you're going to make a good movie, you're going to put the money on screen, you deserve the money back. 100%.
Yeah. As much as I believe that if a movie makes money, it deserves it regardless, because it made it, because people paid for it. But it really is nice for a movie that really deserves it because they put the work in and they didn't do an Indiana Jones and just throw a load of cash as if they had an endless pit to get their overly generous compensation that they're rightfully owed. So yeah, that's nice to hear, David, that this movie's doing really well. Not too many movies, or well, at least a load of standout movies aren't doing too well this year. Strange. But yeah, great. Yeah, great. That's great to hear. I'd like to close this segment of Flash Facts with a final flash fact of mine about a non-casting. So, Greta Gerwig, having done Lady Bird and Little Women, had actors Saoirse Ronan and Timothy Chalamet starring in both. So they're her recurring twos, you know. They are to her what Leonardo and De Niro are to Scorsese, if you will. So naturally, you thought, oh, imagine if they had cameos in this. A Timothy Chalamet Ken and a Saoirse Ronan Barbie.
100%.
So what could that have looked like? Even as just specialized cameos, because she wouldn't have wanted them in there just willy nilly. Well, unfortunately, both actors were unavailable because Saoirse Ronan was producing a project. I think it's Outback or Outcast. Never heard of it. Curious to know, but good for her that she's producing. And Timothy Chalamet was either filming Dune or playing Willy Wonka. So he was definitely unavailable, even though they're both Warner Brothers projects. So yeah, she didn't get that, but you know what? I'm not missing it. I think we got more out of John Cena cameo as a Ken Mermaid.
But I would have liked to see them, definitely. I think
I would have liked to see them.
There were so many there were so many Kens and Barbies, like that would have been a good, like, just like a little nod, like, oh, you know, there's another Ken and a Barbie, because like Ncuti Gatwa and Emma McKay, then Kingsley Benadir, Alexandra Shipp, Issa Rae, Simu Liu, even Michael Cera. Like, there was so many, like, I know Michael Cera had a little bit of a bigger role, and so did Simu Liu, but like there were so many Kens and Barbies. Like, you could have just gone, this could have been the cameo city, and it was quite reduced, so I wouldn't have minded having you know, Saoirse Ronan and Timothy Chalamet turn up. That would have been a nice, like you said there, kind of the Leo DiCaprio and Robert De Niro to Martin Scorsese.
Exactly. Well, maybe next time. This concludes this segment for this episode of Flash Facts. Laura, cue the music. Thank you, Barbie Laura. Let's give a good round of applause for Barbie Laura.
Go Barbie Laura.
You rule the world, Barbie Laura.
Something else I kind of wanted to discuss with you is Ken's journey. We kind of talked a little bit about Barbie's journey, but like Ken's journey through the patriarchy. How did you find that in terms of, like, I've seen a lot of like hate for this movie from a lot of like maybe right wing journalists and stuff like that, like saying like, oh, this movie is anti-men. This movie is, you know, takes, you know, spits on men as a culture, and saying it's wrong to be a man, it's wrong to like these things. How did you feel like that as a man yourself? I assume you're a man. I assume you would identify as a man.
I identify as male. Okay, yes. Brilliant. Since birth.
Okay, good. So how would you kind of, how did it make you feel, this whole portrayal of the patriarchy?
Ken is not tied down or bestowed to live his life in service of Barbie. He has his revelation that he can do whatever he wants just by being Kenough.
He is Kenough.
Ken enough. He's wearing a jumper at the end. He somehow has in the next shot, apparently, where he says, I am Ken enough, with Kenough, which is all the more funny. You know, I'm hearing that there's whispers and talks of a Ken spin-off movie called Just Ken or something like that. Ryan Gosling really delivered an Oscar-worthy performance. I thought Margot Robbie was better, but for what Ken had, or should I say Ryan Gosling, he's a perfect 10. He is a perfect Ken. He was a great casting choice. So what? He's like a good couple of years older than Margot Robbie. He's fit as F. Did you see that six pack? That man did the exercise, as did Barbie. But the whole patriarchy element and storyline, I thought, what a fantastic element to introduce in this story, to not make Ken just the little fun, bubbly, goofy character. Because, you know, as much as funny jokes I got from Margot Robbie's Barbie, Ken was the funnier one, I think. I thought he had a lot of the jokes, you know, screaming like a girl so many times that he screams just as much as the fright he gets in the car with Barbie. When that guy goes to slap Barbie, she punches him and Ken screams. Margaret Robbie's all as Barbie's is a serious when she's getting the mugshot, whereas Ken is like he's posing for a great smile, taking take my picture for the mugshot while holding
Yeah.
the board. So I thought, what is that? What the right wing guys are hating on about? And that what he lost? What did he lose? He thought he wanted something that he's happy he didn't need, that he
Yeah.
doesn't need. He doesn't
Exactly
need
that.
it, and we as the audience watching this movie think, oh yeah, Ken and Barbie, yeah, of course, their girlfriend and boyfriend, but no, a better movie made it so that they don't have to be. They don't have to break down to society's rules. They don't have to bow down to it. It's the same. It's a similar reason as to why Quill and Gamora didn't end up back together in Guardians Volume 3.
Yeah,
So
subverting expectations, definitely. I think
yeah,
you're right there. Like, he starts out like, what
he
he
wants her
thinks the
attention.
patriarchy is one thing. Yeah, he wants her attention, and he like finds out about the patriarchy. Men are in charge. But then he like admits at the end. He's like, I lost interest when I realized it wasn't about horses. Do you know?
Yeah,
Like he actually he thought that, because now I've committed to what this society is, that I had to follow it. When it's like, no, not at all. Like, you don't have to conform to what society says about you,
yeah.
or what you should be, or anything like that. And I just thought that was a great like breakdown. I think the people that are giving out about like, Barbie is shitting on men and all this stuff, it's like, okay, you didn't actually watch the film. Then you immediately saw the way that the men, like, they didn't realize that, like, when Ryan Gosling, when Ken puts all the kind of Barbies in the submissive state, and then the Barbies fight back, it's like, they don't want they don't want the Kens to be, they want the Kens to be in the submissive position. And it's like, well, it's the opposite to our world. So it's like, women are in those submissive positions in our real world. It's like,
Which is why you should be okay to accept that and laugh at it, because it's a play
yeah,
in our world. And
yeah,
not only that, even when all the Barbies are under the submissive state, Ken is still trying to get Barbie's attention. He's trying to flex his muscle. He's trying to, oh, you caught me reading. Like, he's thinking he's too cool for her, but he still wants her attention. And when he so-called loses, he runs and cries. And and when he goes to try and grab Barbie to kiss her because he thought that's what she wanted, no, this is not what I was talking about. He stands her up and slaps himself in the face and goes all depressed because he thinks, you know. Did you not have a thought like that one time in your life, whether it's to do with love or whether it's about getting a job or whatever? Hey,
yeah,
guess what? You're a person, and this movie is an idea.
yeah.
So
And you're not
what's
you're not
the
the sum of
yeah, go
sum
on.
of the things that you own, or the people that you're friends with, or anything like that. Like, you are yourself. And just
Yes.
kind of to finish the point I was making earlier, like, the people that are giving out like, oh, Barbie's shitting on men because they are all in the submissive position, or the submissive role in society. It's like, okay, so then you're okay with real life where women are actually in the submissive role. It's like, you're annoyed about men being portrayed a certain way on screen. It's like, okay, but that's a critique on how women are actually treated in society. So it's like, you're not okay with it here, but you're fine with it in real life. It's like this is, in a
Yeah.
way, it's satire. Like, come on. So I think that
Just talking about this right now makes me think this movie is a whole lot more better. All these discussions we're talking about from this movie, you know, a lot of them has a lot more hard work to come up with the idea and concept and ideology of it all. And the execution, every execution is hard to pull off, but when seeing it, it's easy to see it come across. But with the idea of highlighting feminism, patriarchy, the concept of Barbie Land and where it is in the real world, like, all this is a lot of hard work to come up with, and they did such a great job. There's another scene earlier in the movie. It's when Barbie is being told to get back in her box for
yes,
Mashal to send him back home. I thought that scene was so funny when she's trying to escape, because like a few times Will Ferrell's like, "Get that Barbie, get that Barbie." It's like, "Go get that Barbie," and she runs into the room where there's like a column of rows of the square office spaces, and she's running like straight lines or left and right, and then the metal execs in all the men suits, are like running in like perfect sync, choreographed across the room, going left and right, up and down, just missing Barbie as she keeps running to the exit. The editing was so funny, and then seeing Will Ferrell run the way he's running, it's like he's running with straight with his arms like going from waist to air, like very like, I don't know how to describe it, but it's like dancing, running, and then there's like the two of them come meet at the corner, Will Ferrell and Margot Robbie, and they both scream and they both run away from each other, and Will Ferrell's like, oh, that scene was so funny. I didn't laugh or smile as much because there were so many audiences distracting us with the people laughing when they didn't need to laugh, or a child going 90 on their chair.
That whole scene was very like a Scooby-Doo sequence of like them running between doors,
Yes.
It was very good. And then like even Will Ferrell, like, it's quicker if we go over the cubicles and stuff like that. Like that whole scene, even leading up to it, was.
And it's just seeing him struggle to get over the cubicles as well. And then Margaret Robbie does a real cute hop over the like security things that you go through on a train station or something like that, and because we don't have our key cards, how are we supposed to get over? She's getting away, and like I dropped the fucking thing. Like that was the funniest scene, and that is not something that happens in reality in your and my world. If someone wants to capture human size,
it's very much like a heightened reality, and you're completely fine with that because of the world that we've been set up, and you're fine.
Yes, that is that innocent little gag lends itself to be an animated child's movie, but it's live action. That's the point I was trying to make earlier with this being the perfect live action animated movie. This movie is animation in live action because of these little elements of story from beats. Like even with Rhea Seehorn, she plays Ruth, the creator of Barbie. We see her, she's like in some Matrix mysterious room in the building that Barbie visits, and she's nice, and then she's able to go down into like a closet. So what was that all about? Was that was real? Was that fake? Will Ferrell made a joke about it later at the end, saying her ghost has an office on the 17th floor. What was that about? Like that's it's a fun joke that we are okay to not know more as to how it's there.
Yeah.
Like what was that room? Who was she there? Was she the same person? Was it her ghost? How does she know all about that? What was that? And then the whole thing about making her human or turning her human. Like what was that about? That whole revelation of who she gets to be. I thought she was going to be a mom, but no, they made it even funnier. You think she's going into get a job, going into a job interview to get a job. No, she's there to see her gynecologist.
Good luck explaining that to your kids.
That's such a great joke. That's just great. It just makes it all the more funnier. Like what a nice blend for both families, adults, and children to enjoy.
Yeah,
100%. Good movie. Any final thoughts on the movie?
I just really enjoyed it. There was a whole there's so many layers to it. Like we didn't even discuss like kind of the Barbie's perception of the real world, how she thinks that she's done so much for the world, but the world doesn't see her in that way. The whole mother-daughter relationship between, even like you're saying there, Ruth the creator and Barbie, and then America Ferrera's her and her daughter. Her daughter and her friends. I don't know if you got this, but I kind of felt like when she turned up at the school, all those kids were like, they were the brats. they were the Bratz dolls compared to like Barbie. I
Yeah,
was like,
yeah.
that's pretty funny. But no, like there's so many elements to this that we didn't even get to discuss. So it's definitely worth one to see, and I really look forward to watching it again.
Yeah. You just reminded me that scene where the little girl is calling Barbie a fascist and listing all the reasons why she set feminism back like 50 years and making her cry, and she's like really like insulting her existence. She's going there expecting, aren't you gonna hug me? And it's like, what a way to shit on someone's dreams. And wow, Jesus, I love this movie even more than just talking about it. It feels so great.
Yeah, and all these expectations that you put on a doll when it's literally in the real world, it's a piece of plastic. But yet, she's saying like, "Oh, you set women back 50 years," and it's like it's literally a piece of plastic, and
Yeah,
you're putting
yeah.
putting your feelings on the doll, and yeah, no, it's highly recommend.
Yeah, by acknowledging what she's wearing and what she stands for and how her role has been used as an excuse for how the patriarchy dominate themselves over women. Yeah, whole lot of real life issues dealt with. Played for serious, but also played for some jokes. Solid movie. Yeah, real solid movie.
Another winner for Greta Gerwig. Fair play.
Yeah, Jesus, she's not only made Oscar caliber movies, she's made moneymakers.
Yeah.
Yeah. David, I think that's enough for me and you to talk about Barbie. I'd like to close today's episode on recommendations. Have you
Yes.
got a recommendation for us?
I do. I have a recommendation. It's a TV show. I'm not going to go with the movie this week. TV show, Futurama. It's back, baby. New season.
We're back, baby.
New season of Futurama. It's on Disney Plus. It's on Hulu, I think, in America. This is like the fourth time it's been brought back.
It's the third time it's been brought back after being cancelled twice by two different companies. Brought back a third time now by Hulu. So it's got the Fox era, it has the Comedy Central era, and now it has the Hulu era.
Yeah, so it's back. I think the first episode came out Monday. If you're listening to this, the first Wednesday, so it came out Monday, and they're releasing every episode, an episode each week. Watch the first episode there, and it's just like classic Futurama. Like, it's just as hilarious. It's making fun of itself. It's it's a show that never should have been cancelled.
Literally, like, it never left. Like, the voices sound the same, the characters are the same. I did feel like this is an obvious storyline to make in our day and age with the whole binging and streaming. But it's just peak Futurama. Futurama was never my favorite thing to enjoy, but not only did I found a sense of, Futurama, can't miss. I have to watch it because I've watched every episode ever. It's better than The Simpsons.
Yeah. I'd always like, even when I was a kid, I was like, oh, Futurama's on. Like, it was like something. It was just a little bit weird. It wasn't as conventional as The Simpsons, and you're like, but it's still kind of the same style of animation.
Yeah.
So it was familiar, but it was a little bit weird as well. It was.
It wasn't overtly funny like South Park, but I think there was just something about it that, whether it's the characters or the ideas or the sci-fi-ness of it all that it creates. Look, at the end of the day, if you're gonna get a laugh from both either or from Bender or Zap Brannigan.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
So that's my recommendation for this week. Is new season of Futurama.
Yeah, I also noticed that John DiMaggio, who voices Bender, I think his name was credited first.
He was, yeah. He wasn't initially going to come back when they announced that they were rebooting it. I think he wasn't going to come back, and so I was like, oh man, I couldn't actually imagine Futurama with a different voice for Bender. Like, his voice is so iconic. But I think it was overpay. With current pay disputes with the Writers Guild and the Actors Guild. 100%, man. Pay actors and writers money. They are creating the things that we're all enjoying. You're making the money from it. Pay them. Simple as. So I'm glad that they got him back.
I just want to throw a little fact out to give appeal calls for the writers and actors. I just saw a headline that I didn't delve into, but a headline, no doubt, that the creator writer for the shows Moon Knight and The Umbrella Academy had to do lift services to make ends meet.
Wow. Yeah, that's crazy. I think I read somewhere that if if studios met the demands of the Writers Guild and the Actors Guild, it would cost no more than $25 million per year, which is nothing in terms of how much they're making. 25 million a year, nothing. I think that it's ridiculous that
I hope,
that we're not paying the people that are entertaining the world in so many different ways. So
yeah,
pay people what they're worth.
I suppose the thing is that that's why they're the non-creatives. They're the ones with the money. They just want to make money, and they see this as a business. That's why they manage the money. Whereas it's fun to think about producers and but at the end of the day, they're the ones in charge because it's their money. They're the money makers. They're the money providers, and yeah, the creatives do just get really effed over unless you're Christopher Nolan, Denis Villeneuve, or Denzel or Leonardo. Yeah, Jesus, look what they're causing. Huge. There's going to be a lot of delays now because of this. Good on you, studios and producers. Fucking. Yeah. Anyway.
That's my recommendation for this week. Pay your employees. That's my recommendation. My second recommendation is Futurama. What about you?
In closing today's episode, I'd like to recommend a movie that if you watch in a room in the dark while it is raining outside, you'll feel the rain and the cold when you watch the movie. Yeah, this is a Ron Howard directed event about biopic about the Taiwanese soccer team that were trapped in a cave and weren't discovered until 10 days later alive, and they were well, watch the movie, damn it. This movie, I remember watching it, I gave it 4 stars. I probably should have given it 5. Starring Viggo Mortensen, Colin Farrell and Joel Edgerton. 3 great actors that we just love to see on screen, especially Joel Edgerton. I watched this movie just recently, yesterday, and I watched it intending to not finish it because I was going to watch something else, and I had to finish it. Couldn't stop. The movie, if you let it, the movie can make you feel cold and it'll make you feel wet. It'll feel like you're almost there. You needed to be raining outside, which was great because I felt it. I didn't eat it and I didn't drink it, and I just sat there and I watched, and man, the claustrophobia and the tension for how to do it, Jesus, it made me decide who I want to direct a movie that would be about my life. Ron Howard, he can do it. Biopic on me. I think he's a good director to pave highlights on realism while keeping some entertainment and engagement. I think you put it, David, he is a safe director.
Yeah, 100%. I think that this 13 Lives is a great movie, even though you said like it's got a really great cast of Viggo Mortensen, Colin Farrell and Joel Edgerton. Like, they're not like huge, they're not like big characters. They just like play the roles really, really well. And it's very much like it's not even an ensemble cast, but it's about the whole village coming together to save these boys. The whole event. It's like a disaster film, but just it's concentrated to 13 lives. Excuse me.
Yes.
So it's great. I highly recommend it. It's a great watch, and I think most people probably know about the event, but not the steps that were taken to save these guys' lives. So it's a high recommend for me.
Yeah, and Viggo Mortensen, oh man, I really loved him in this. There's just a sense of realism in this. Like the grip they have on how they portray reality in this. Yeah, very real. And I very much appreciate that. So, yeah, that is my recommendation for this week. David, I think that is time enough to close tonight's episode. Tonight, this morning, whichever way our listeners are listening to. Folks, thank you very much for listening to this episode of Talking Pictures Podcast. We release an episode every Wednesday as soon as you wake up, talking about possibly the newly released movie or a fun topic we have time to talk about. If you haven't done so already, please do follow us on Talking Picture Podcast 1 on Instagram. We'll have all the links and descriptions in our posts on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter. You'll see all our highlights, and we'll be posting on our stories what we'll be talking about, and you'll see links in all below and how to watch them on every Wednesday. Please, if you haven't already, no harm, just to remind us, give us a little quick of a 5 stars and a like. What are we doing wrong to not get them 5 stars? Do let us know in the comments below. David, did I nail that? Anything else you'd like to add?
You did, yeah. If you have any questions or anything like that, send them into talkingpicturespodcast1@gmail.com. Like Brian said, all our socials, everything is there in descriptions down below, our letterboxes as well. So if you want to see what movies we're watching, what we might recommend, it's all there for you. So everything is provided for you. There's no reason for you to say, oh, I missed an episode, or oh, I didn't know where to find you guys. It's all there waiting for you.
110%, David. I'll see you next week, Barbie.
Thanks, Ken.